Okay, I'll call this meeting of the Student Services Committee of the Waukesha Board of Education to order. First up, has the meeting been properly posted?
Yes.
Excellent. Do we have, next up is the approval of the minutes from the June 6th meeting. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
David. Excellent. Okay. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. Moving on. For opportunity for public comment, do we have anybody that would like to address the committee this evening? Outside of employees? Excellent. Moving on to our action discussion and/or information items. Up first is the annual nursing report. This is something we all look forward to. It's very important
I'm sure you do.
to see our nurses, because we really don't see them that much at the board level.
Well, there's only one here tonight, so thank you, Beth, for being here. As you saw, the annual report includes a lot more information, but tonight we'll just do a high-level overview of just some of the highlights of what the nursing team really covers among all of our schools throughout our system.
Excellent. Welcome.
All right. Well, I'm Beth. I'm one of the 3 district nurses, and I somehow got elected to be here tonight. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the role of nursing services in the district. I know you received our annual report last week, but tonight I'll just be picking out a couple of the highlights from that report. This slide shows a breakdown of our health room visits by school. As you can see, our health room assistants are really busy and are a vital part of our nursing department. I included last year's data to show that our health room visits continue to increase despite a slight decrease in enrollment. And these visits to the health room would include visits for illness, injury, medication, or diabetic management. We further broke down this slide to just show the diabetic management. That is one of our big time commitments each day for our schools that have diabetic students. We currently have 52 diabetic students in the district, 9 at the elementary level, 11 at the middle school level, and 32 at the high school level. This is an increase of 3 students from last school year. As children with diabetes get older, they become more independent with their care. But at the elementary level, they come to the health room multiple times each day for blood sugar checks, for insulin dosing, and management of low blood sugar events. In general, each elementary diabetic student will spend 20 to 60 minutes in the health room every day, and that's assuming that everything's going well with their care. Our health room assistants are responsible providing the day-to-day diabetic care. The district nurses serve as case managers for our diabetic students. We collaborate with parents and physicians to develop daily management plans. We provide all the staff training and then serve as a resource for the health room assistants and provide troubleshooting help in the daily management. During the past school year, the nursing department was involved in standardizing the district's response to medical emergencies. We created protocols for response to various medical emergencies and established medical emergency response teams at the 3 high schools. These teams are well-trained, willing staff members who can respond quickly to medical emergencies, and our training this past year included responding to seizure emergencies, diabetic emergencies, severe allergic reactions, overdoses, and sudden cardiac arrest. Additional training will be provided this coming year through the Stop the Bleed program, and all 3 district nurses became Stop the Bleed trainers this past school year. The nursing department has been collaborating with Children's Hospital of Wisconsin for the past 5 years to develop a Heart Safe School program and obtain Heart Safe School designation through Project Adam. Heart Safe School designation means that a school has successfully implemented a quality program of awareness, training, and effective emergency response to sudden cardiac arrest event. to promote a safe environment for our students and our visitors to the building. The final step of this process is to conduct an annual emergency drill to practice the medical emergency response team's ability to respond to a sudden cardiac arrest event. Last school year, North High School and West High School completed their Heart Safe School designation. During the upcoming year, our goal is to continue the Heart Safe School designation and medical emergency response team rollout. South is almost there and will be completing their annual drill at the beginning of the school year. And then we also plan to complete the whole process at East and all 4 middle schools this year. Our elementary schools will complete this process during the 2024-25 school year. So by the end of the 24-25 school year, all of our schools should be Heart Safe designated and have a medical emergency response team in place. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the work of the district nurses for the past school year. I'm open for questions.
Questions? Good, definitely.
Thanks for coming. This report is very informative. I'm just curious, I'm looking at the section that talks about student health conditions, and a discussion you had mentioned early on that we're seeing we're seeing more health visits despite the declining enrollment. I was noting the conditions that prompted these visits. Is there particular areas where we're seeing increased visits year over year, a particular condition, or is it just sort of a general trend across the board?
I would say we're seeing more kids experiencing anxiety and anxiety-related health concerns that may exhibit as a stomach ache or a headache or something like that, but we're getting, when we process the enrollment information that parents provide, we're seeing a lot more students with anxiety.
So if I could continue, that kind of is a segue then into the next thing I was going to ask. You note that the psychological conditions remain consistent with the previous year. Are we seeing any differences, though, in the individual diagnoses? Are you seeing perhaps less of ADHD and more anxiety related, or is that remain fairly consistent as well?
I think that's been fairly consistent. What we're seeing is that maybe they're experiencing more disruption to their day related to their diagnosis, and so they're coming to the health room more often.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Betty?
I just had a question. Excuse my raspy, cold voice. You probably have some communication with other districts. Are they seeing the same kinds of similar trends with the health room conditions and why kids are coming in, and maybe the spike in the numbers? Are they seeing the same kinds of things we are?
Yeah. So I attended the Wisconsin Association of School Nurses Conference, and that was a topic of discussion. It seems to be kind of across the board that anxiety is an emerging trend, that we're seeing more kids experiencing difficulties with that, and just more visits to the health room in general. Kids are coming to school sicker than they used to with underlying health conditions, and that obviously is going to roll over into disruption to their day.
Anthony?
So I had a similar question in looking at some of what was in the report, the overall health of the kids. And I looked at what, I know we have discussed in this community and others a lot about mental health. I don't want to separate the two between, but from a physical standpoint, we're also seeing an increase year over year. Is it, I don't know if you know, but is it by percentage? Do you have a feel for what it is?
I'm sorry, for what?
By how much of an increase of students that are having a physical ailment, or a report?
Let me get
over the
out
last
of
year.
this and pull up the report here. thought that that was addressed, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
I would have to dig through the report, but I know we are seeing an increase in reported health conditions, and I don't know whether that's because students are experiencing more health conditions or parents are reporting more health conditions in the online registration process.
Okay. Has it been the last few years that we've seen this? I mean, from your
It's been
experience?
increasing. This is my fifth
Steady.
year in the district, and it's
Yeah.
been increasing every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would share in the report on page 2, it talks about the increase, 23% increase of health conditions from previous school year.
And that would be visits? Is that what we're tracking? Like how many
That
visits
is
or
the
instances?
reported health conditions, so when parents enter health information in the online registration process, all of those health conditions get put into Infinite Campus. When we run a report, that's the number of health conditions that it's reporting for each of those diagnoses.
And that's still really on the parents and part of the enrollment process. So they could choose not to share that. You know, obviously, we're looking for a partnership, but
Sure.
that's a piece too.
Okay. And then just to further clarify, I know you had mentioned anxiety, so if kids are more anxious or we're seeing that more, and you said it may manifest as a headache or a stomach ache, so then those are also being reported. And we're attributing that to anxiety or?
We are reporting that we can't diagnose anything, so we're just reporting what the student comes to the health room for. So if
Okay.
they come, complaining of a headache or a stomach ache, that's how it gets documented.
Okay.
But parents are reporting more diagnoses of anxiety.
Okay. One other thing, and it was, again, just to clarify. So on page, I think, 7, talks about the immunization surveillance.
Yes.
And it talks about those students that would receive an exemption for some reason. Once they receive that, then they are excluded from the following year because it's looking for something of a compliance rate. And it says here that if it's less than 99% of students are in compliance in the district during the previous year are required to exclude non-compliant students during that next year. So are we have a portion of students that may not be fully immunized and may have reasons for that or exclusions for that, and so then they drop off.
So the state considers them compliant if they either produce documentation of their immunizations or they produce a signed waiver. Either
Okay.
one of those makes them compliant with the state. So our non-compliant students either have not provided documentation of their immunizations, they haven't signed a waiver, or we have no record of their immunizations.
Okay.
So that's the percentage of students in the district that are considered non-compliant.
And those would be ones that we have no documentation as to
We
what's.
either they haven't provided any
Okay.
immunization record, or they're behind in their immunizations. So, they're supposed to have 4 doses by a certain age, they only have 3. So those are the people that fall in that non-compliant group.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Wood?
Yes, if I could follow up on that, I wondered if you could help me understand the word exclude in that section under surveillance. What are we excluding
So
those students from?
Wisconsin immunization law requires us to, if our district is not 99% compliant, we are required to exclude kindergarten through 5th graders for up to 10 days after the 30th day of school. So they have the first 30 days of school to produce their immunization record. And then on the 31st day of school, if they are behind schedule or we haven't received any immunization record, they would be excluded from school for up to 10 days.
So that's truly talking about them not being able to attend.
not being able to come to school.
Attend to school, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We try really hard to get a waiver or some sort of documentation so that we don't have to exclude anybody.
And after fifth grade, that no longer applies?
We're not required to exclude. Districts can choose to exclude 6th through 12th graders, but we have not in this district.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? How many kids are we talking about excluding? Seems
It
kind of
ends up
counterproductive.
being 10 to 15, maybe.
Okay, for 10 days.
And usually within the first day or two.
Okay.
That they're required to stay home, we usually get a waiver
Okay.
signed.
All right, so most of them are not out the entire 10 days.
Most of them are not.
Okay, all right, excellent. And then, are we having a problem getting epinephrine?
It's slow, but it's
Okay.
coming.
Okay, so we still have,
Yes, we're
All the
still
schools are stocked.
participating in the Epi for Schools
Okay.
program. So it's on its way.
this is better, okay, and then, do we have AEDs at every school?
AEDs in every school, and we have Narcan stocked in every AED.
Okay, have we used the Narcan? Have we had to use the Narcan? During this-
We've used it a couple times.
We have, okay,
Yeah.
excellent. And then, the medical emergency response team, what did it look like before we had those?
So each school had their own
Oh, they did? Okay.
protocol for responding to emergencies. So, you might go to one school and it was
Okay.
the principal and the office staff that responded, and then another school, it might be the health room assistant. So we just tried to clean that protocol up so
Okay.
that we had a designated group and everybody knew who that team
Right.
was, and we made sure that they all had all of the same training.
Okay, all right, excellent. Do we require first aid and CPR training for certain groups of staff?
First aid and CPR is required for all of our special ed assistants.
Okay,
Our health room assistants, and then not required, but recommended for the office staff.
okay, excellent, thank you.
And then our gym teachers, I think, are required. We don't oversee that, nursing doesn't oversee that, but I think
Right.
they're required as coaches to get
As
CPR trained
coaches.
as well.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Fantastic, thank you for
you're
taking
welcome.
the time to come and talk to us.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty, next up is policy 5330, administration of medication / emergency care.
Yeah, so Beth's going to stay up here in case
Okay.
there are some questions.
Lucky Beth.
Thank you again, Beth, for being here and representing the team. As part of all the policies, as Neola brings them forward with recommendations, we have several in the 500 series to look at through our Student Services Committee meetings. So tonight, we have the one around administration of medication and emergency care. What I want to highlight really is that some of the revisions are smaller, just in recommendations and updating that as shared in the board docs. The largest part of change really comes, it's at the very end of the bottom two, or page 3, where it says administration of non-prescription over-the-counter medication. This is one, and you've probably heard Dr. Siebert talk about, where every time we look at our policies, we want to reflect on our practices and really get them aligned. And this is one where we didn't have as much alignment as we would like, and so that's how tonight, part of this, we want to just make sure that we're having a conversation around what that does look like for the non-prescription over-the-counter medication at our schools for certain age students. So that's where you'll see the biggest change in that green section that's highlighted there. This is really what's in practice right now and part of the online registration process. So beyond that, I just wanted to highlight that because I know that was just different. And then if you have questions, though, we can tag team it or even talk about the online process.
Is there any questions regarding Anthony?
So I did have a question on, let's see, page 4, I believe, the main change in the policy. So it's talking here about administering these non-prescription drugs. There's Part A and Part B. And in Part B, it talks about administering the non-prescription stock drugs like aspirin or ibuprofen. My question or clarification would be, is this something that the school provides or has on hand for when kids need it? Or is this something that their parents are sending as, with a lot of the other medications that we're dealing with? So is this something that the school does?
Yeah,
Do you want me to?
either way.
Take that.
We've had lots of conversation around, this
Yeah.
is the bulk of the work that we've been really talking about, so.
So in the past, we've required parents to provide all of the non-prescription medication. This is a change that we are wanting to provide stock ibuprofen, Tylenol, Tums, and Benadryl. The reasoning behind that is to cut down on the amount of lost time that students are in the health room if they're there with cramps or a headache, waiting for a parent to bring a medication that has not been, available at school previously. We get students in the health room for half an hour, 45 minutes, waiting for a parent to bring a Tylenol, and we're proposing this change so that we can get them what they need and get them back to class more quickly.
So then, in times past, we would wait on the parents to provide something. In this case, we would have it on hand, the parents would then give permission or consent to, obviously, so.
And we're only proposing this for age 12 and up, because under the age of 12, they would need to be taking children's dosages of medications, and
Okay.
we don't want to complicate things as far as what dose to give based on their weight or height. So we're just proposing 12 and up, because then they can receive an adult dosage.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding? Ready?
I just want to make a comment. I do appreciate this proposal as a parent that have had to run and deliver ibuprofen for cramps several times with two daughters. I realized that they were sitting there until I had a prep time, and that was probably close to an hour. So I think it's an excellent proposal. It's to cut
Something
out on.
that parents have asked for a long time, and I think assumed that we had those medications available, and then were surprised to find out we don't have anything unless you provide it. So I think this will cut down on time lost in the health room, and then also, I cannot tell you at the high school how many bottles of ibuprofen come in, for each individual student, and then you're trying to manage 120 bottles of ibuprofen to find the right one to give to the students. So this hopefully will simplify the process.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
David?
I would say too, for any of the parents who are watching, this is already a part of the online registration. This is where that mix of practice and policy, but it's really convenient for a parent to say, yes, I already give permission for this dosage of whatever Tums, aspirin, anything like that. And so it's all right there for the parents to choose as part of the online annual registration process. So thank you to the nurse team, but also the tech team with the online pieces of the registration, setting that up.
David?
Yeah, so just to clarify, is this a practice we're doing already and we are simply documenting that? Or will this be a new process where we will bring in this stock of medications
This will be
starting
a
this
new
year?
process at the start of the school year,
Okay.
but parents are already completing the online registration
Great.
process.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is an action item?
Potentially.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I think that we're in full agreement that this is the way that we should be going, so I'm not concerned about having an action item. We're looking for a motion to approve revisions to policy number 5330.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. Moved by Betty, seconded by Anthony. Is there any further discussion on the policy revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. Done deal. Alrighty.
I just want to say thank you. I think as we transition from Dr. Cook to myself and not having an August board meeting, as we got together, I just really want to thank you for the conversation and the timing and wanting the nurses to come on all topics nursing related. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Excellent. We appreciate it as well. Alrighty. Thank you very much. We appreciate the time. Next up is other business, recommendations for future meetings. Does anybody have anything that they're, have on top of mind for future meeting? Okay. If there is, you can email me and Jen and we will get it on the agenda. Alrighty. That concludes our meeting. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.